What is going on YouTube? Is Will, me, the main character, and here guys today, bringing you something I normally do not bring, but I figured why not, because this is something I'm highly interested in. I would bring it to you guys. Now I know schedule's been rough the past week. That'll be addressed probably Tuesday in Honey Pop's episode, so if you're wondering about that, that's where you can find that. But what we're here to talk about today, as you see on your screen, we're here to talk about the Overwatch League, because some things have been happening. Now, if you're not the biggest Overwatch fan, I understand, but Overwatch League for me it's really enjoyable for me to watch just because it's such high level of play, even if you don't think the teams are good or whatever, or what have you. But over the past couple of weeks, ever since the Mercy meta has finally ended in the Overwatch League after Stage 1, team power rankings from Stage 1 have drastically changed in Stage 2, and I feel like Stage 2 is more permanent, just because there's no real significant changes going into Stage 3 for any heroes, outside of Sombra's buff, which she really did not see that much playtime. She might see a little bit more playtime, depending on the map pool. Obviously we have Volskaya already in play. If Horizon comes back, then I could see it, but outside of that, with Mei and Doomfist buffs, I still don't see them being picked as often as any other hero. So the meta will not change that much. But the teams, they're acting differently. If you've been watching recently, you know, for example, the Houston Outlaws have been on a slump of a losing streak, losing again and again to team after team. I believe one of the few wins they've had this stage was to Florida Mayhem, which went to a map 5, and it's just, I don't know, I feel like Houston, I didn't think they benefited that much off of Mercy meta, but it looks like they did. And or they're possibly inside of their own heads at this point, and they need to get out of it. Now, speaking of Florida Mayhem, they have from the beginning always been one of the really, really low underdog teams that no one's really thought of when saying, oh, who's the best team in the league. However, huge upset this last week with Florida Mayhem 3-1ing the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, I will get to the Valiant in a minute. That's huge for a team like Florida. They finally do have different players they can sub in arriving, and they have, I believe, new coaches, and it's finally, okay, Java update scheduler, fun fact. But it's finally all gelling for them, and I feel like they will definitely move forward, just advancing further and further. Now, I don't know, I feel like they've reacted too late at this point for this year's Overwatch League, but I feel like next year coming in, they'll be a monster, and I think they'll definitely throw some teams who are in playoff contention out of it, simply because they'll mistake them for an easy match, which unfortunately, as we saw with the Valiant, did not. Now, the Valiant, this is a team I want to talk about, probably one of the more teams I want to talk about, simply because they, I feel like, were the most benefited from the Mercy meta. I feel like they had Mercy meta down. I feel like they rocked with it. They had it, and it was great for them, and they rolled. Because ever since Stage 2's began, not to say they've been performing badly, but they've obviously not been themselves. Obviously, they're still high-level players, so the mechanical skill can win you games such as that. But overall, it seems as though they've gone from one of the top 3 to 4 teams to now like the middle of the pack teams, and it's just kind of, it's unfortunate for them, and hopefully they can refine their mojo, but at the end of the day, they did benefit a lot more from Mercy meta, I believe. Now, another team that definitely needs to be talked about right now in terms of power rankings is the team I believe has taken over Los Angeles Valiant's spot near the top, and that is the Los Angeles Gladiators. Now, we are actually going to view the roster for Los Angeles Gladiators because there's a name right here that you see on your screen. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I'm going to butcher it, but Fissure. They were lucky enough to get him from London Spitfire because he seeked more playtime. He wanted more playtime, and he's proved himself time and again. If you have not seen the Los Angeles Gladiator matches, they've been nutty, to say the least. They're just performing at such a higher level ever since they've incorporated Fissure into the mix. Beating both the Spitfire. I believe they're on a 4-game winning streak actually right now, so I'm not even going to try to list all the opponents they've beaten. But they've been resounding victories. It's not like map 5, close as heck, It's resounding victories. I feel like going forward, they actually do have a chance to run for playoffs for this year, 100%, if they can keep at this level, which I do believe they can. Fissure he gives so much space for Surefour, Asher, and Hydration to work. And between the three of them, they have pretty much every DPS hero locked down. The other tank being used primarily, Bishu, helps give space. And this team just really has gelled with the addition of Fissure, and it just works. It just works for them, so it's always good. Now, speaking of the last team that I feel like was affected by the Mercy meta was the Seoul Dynasty. Now, coming into it, we saw Seoul Dynasty. Sure, they obviously performed really well in Stage 1. However, they lack that oomph. They lack that punch. They just didn't have it. And I feel like it was because of the Mercy meta. Their healers, hang on, let's open up the roster. Their main healers that they use, Ryo Jae-hong and Toby. Ryo Jae-hong is an amazing Ana/Zen, as we've come to find, and Toby is a Lucio master in and of his own right. And neither of them were really equipped for Mercy. They could play it obviously at a high level because it's Mercy. They did what they needed to because of the meta. However, it was not where they were comfortable at. So thankfully the Mercy meta ended, and as we've seen this stage, Seoul has bounded back. They've become one of the top teams again. And it's interesting to me going forward to see what happens with Seoul, especially because I feel like they could run into the same problem that London ran into, where some of their players could possibly be looking for more playtime and switch teams. Because they are fielding one of the larger teams in, I believe, 10 players overall, as you see on your screen. Or no, 12, I can't count. 12 players, as you see on your screen, and only 6 can obviously play. If you have Toby and Ryo Jae-hong always playing, then Gambler's just on the sidelines. I believe Guido also plays quite a bit of healer, even though he is under flex. It's just kind of interesting to me. And so I'd say Seoul Dynasty definitely has the potential to be higher up. They just have to find it in themselves to just keep pushing forward. And now the last team to talk about, it's probably a team you didn't think I'd talk about, but I feel like they may have also lost their play. Like Florida, they may have stepped it up too late. But I feel like they're definitely about to step it up quite a bit, and that is the San Francisco Shock. Now, why do I say that the San Francisco Shock are about to step it up? Unless I read somewhere wrong, at the time of this recording and the time this goes up, today is March 18th. I'll give you a second at home to guess what that means. You had your second? You're good? Yeah? Okay. But what that means is one of the players you see on your screen, Sinatra, aka J1, is now available to them for use. Now, they've been waiting for him to turn 18 before they could put him in. Now, whether that, I don't know if they're allowed to field him starting this week or if they have to wait till the end of the stage. But worst case scenario, say they have to wait till the end of the stage. That's 2 more matches. Just get through them, and then starting stage 3, you come back with an amazing player in Sinatra. Yes, Dante has been killing it. Yes, IDDDQ. That was a few too many Ds, but IDDDQ has worked it. Baby Bay has been doing amazing as well. They all have potential. However, Sinatra just, he was on the American World Cup team for a reason. He literally, for World Cup, never got on comms with his team. Was just like, hey, I'll just go do what I got to do, and he just tore house through everybody he could. So I feel like Like I said before, though, unfortunately, they probably are stepping it up too little too late to make an impact for this year. However, coming into next year, if they can keep Sinatra, if they can keep this team of, because they do have an amazing healer in Dak, and Sleepy. Sleepy was one of the best Zens I've seen in a while. Definitely, I'd say top 5 Zens in the world for me, if not top 3. And then, obviously, you have the tank core of Nomi, and I believe they normally field Nevix. Nomi and Nevix, that just clears so much space, and if you give Sinatra even an inch, he'll take a mile, so if you give him a mile, he'll take the game for you. It's just that simple. But is that everything I wanted to talk about? New York, obviously, is New York. They'll perform well no matter what. Shanghai is a rough case for me because I feel like they can do this. I feel like they can come back and definitely win some matches. Obviously, they're the only team in the league that is still winless. But they do have the reinforcements. Gimguri, Dia is currently out for a family emergency. And then I don't remember who else they've added. I believe it's Sky and Fearless. I could be wrong on that. All still having to make it to the States. But they're all amazing players. And Shanghai itself is still got amazing players. MG, Diva, Zushu, Altering. Like, not trying to talk bad about Shanghai 100%. They're in that league for a reason, obviously. It's just they obviously haven't been performing well. So hopefully these new additions will clear their head, get them set straight, and start pushing them ahead instead of behind. And then, was there any other team, just to make sure I didn't miss? There was, actually, because Dallas Fuel. Dallas. There's been a lot of controversy with Dallas because of one player who you don't even see on your screen anymore because he was released, XQC. I feel like XQC was a player who he did things in the moment and didn't think about them till after. And I feel like there was a lot more going on within the Dallas Fuel than what just came out about with the homophobic slur getting him banned, and then also the try-hard emote spam that got him banned for the second time and that got him released. I feel like there was a lot more going on, and unfortunately XQC was very vital to this team when he was able to play, because I feel like XQC, he opened up space a lot of places where normally Winston's couldn't go, and that's what XQC was. He was a Winston specialist. Sure, he played Rhine a little bit. I don't believe he ever switched off with any other tanks. But for like 85 to 95% of the time, he played Winston, and he's damn good at it. To give him credit where credit's due. But unfortunately, I feel like there was something going on possibly with him not being able to agree on a certain level with his team, talk to his team, or something that prompted this release. Because I feel like, and then also I feel like some of the punishments that are being waived towards him, while the homophobic slur was obviously a terrible thing, and the tryhard emote, I don't think the intention of the tryhard emote spam in Twitch was to be racist, as they're saying it was. I think it was just intended to be just a spam. And I feel like, unfortunately, XQC has just become the scapegoat, if you will, because they want to prove that, oh, our report system was working. Oh, we want to make sure this, and this all lines up. And so they just use him as the example, essentially. Anytime he sets a toe out of line, they hit him back real quick just to prove, hey, we're monitoring our players and all that. I don't know. I feel like this team can move forward, especially with the addition of AKM. And Rascal AKM's just been tearing it up on tons of different maps as Soldier. This stage, I don't know what this map pool is for Stage 3. I don't know if it's just the same one as Stage 1. But if it is, there's not a lot of room for Soldier, so he definitely has more heroes in his pool, but we're going to have to see him pull them out. And interestingly enough, Seagull has been missing for a little bit, which has bothered me because, yes, obviously you recruited Rascal because he wanted playtime, so now you're trying to play him as much as you can. And Taimu, interestingly enough, is being switched to the main tank role. I feel like this team just has, unfortunately, too much DPS to work with. Because you have AKM, you have Rascal, you have Taimu, who is... It's Taimu, you know? And then Effect, who, in his own right, is one of the best tracers in the world. I'd say top 5. Unfortunately, can't give him the top 3. But, I don't know. This team, I feel like, has struggled through a lot. And they're going to continue to struggle until they can find their rhythm and keep rolling with it. But with that... I guess I've said all I need to say. That's just how I feel about the Overwatch League teams right now. Before anybody can ask about my biases and, oh, why'd you say this about this team? I'll tell you right now, I support Gladiators, Mayhem, and Fusion. That's who I would like to see win. Win matches, win the league, what have you. Those are the 3 teams I would tell you I'd support. But without further ado, this is going to be the end of our power rankings. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button down below. Obviously, in the comment section below, I encourage you to write your own power rankings. Obviously, give reasons and all that fun stuff. But until next time, this is going to be the main character, signing out.